Today, I want to talk about something that could have been great. Something that Mojang was actively working on, and they even hired people to get this project done. But at the end of the day, it never ended up releasing. I want to tell you the story of how Minecraft almost got an official modding API. But to fully understand this story, we need to go back in time, all the way to the beginning of Minecraft. Before Minecraft was even officially released on November 18th, 2011, the community was already trying to mod the game. Back then, the game was still in beta, but that didn't matter. The first modding APIs already came into existence. For those who are not in this community 24/7, a modding API is, explained in the most simple terms possible, a set of tools that allows you to mod a game. Two of the most popular modding APIs nowadays are Forge and Fabric, but Spigot and Paper are also modding APIs. The difference is that they mod the Minecraft server software instead of the game, but they can still be classified as modding APIs. One of the first modding APIs ever released was called HMod, and just like Paper and Spigot nowadays, it gave players tools to build and run server-side mods, which we call plugins, on their Minecraft server software. Now, HMod was around before Minecraft was even officially released, and about 10 months before the game released, the creator of HMod announced its discontinuation. Luckily, when HMod was discontinued, there was already a new, competing modded server software in development, called Bukkit. And the Bukkit team contained a lot of the same developers that also worked on the HMod. Unfortunately, when HMod announced it would be discontinuing, Bukkit was not ready yet. And at the same time this whole drama was going down, a brand new Minecraft server version called 1.2 was released, which added a bunch of new content to the game. And because Bukkit wasn't ready for release yet, the community had to flock to, once again, another competing Minecraft server software called MCAdmin. Now, fun fact about MCAdmin, the entire project was eventually abandoned by the community because of a lack of trust. It turned out that the MCAdmin developer coded a backdoor into their Minecraft server mod to get back at a few community members they were angry at. People just felt really unsafe leaving MCAdmin to die and eventually getting abandoned. Now, there was a whole bunch of drama back then, but eventually Bukkit was released. A modded Minecraft server software that, even though we don't use it anymore today, you might still have heard about it, even if you're brand new in the community. That is because to this day, when you're running a Paper or a Purper or a Spigot server, you can still find a bukkit.yml file inside of your Minecraft server directory. That is because all of those modern server softwares are forks of Bukkit, meaning they grabbed Bukkit as a base and started building upon that, which is why the bukkit.yml file is still around on modern versions. They were built upon the base that Bukkit laid down. Now, back in that day, Bukkit wasn't just called Bukkit. It actually consisted of two separate tools. There was Craft Bukkit and the Bukkit API. Craft Bukkit being the Minecraft server itself, the executable that would open, that would have a console, and that would allow players to actually join. And then there was the Bukkit API, the piece of software that plugin developers could use to create Minecraft plugins. And therefore, they worked perfectly together. Another interesting fact is that even back in the day, Bukkit had the same licensing issues that Paper and Spigot have today. I made a video about the whole legality of Minecraft plugins and mods, but a quick summary is that Minecraft plugins and modded Minecraft server softwares are legal because they make it so that users build the software on their own PC by executing, for example, the paper.jar file. That way, those developer teams were not distributing any of Mojang's code. Instead, it would just be compiled on your own PC. In other words, no distribution. Well, it turns out that back in 2011, Bukkit did the same thing. But you might be wondering, Kasasara, why are you talking so much about Bukkit? Is Bukkit really such an interesting project? And yes, it is. Because two things are important to remember. Bukkit was one of the first popular Minecraft modding APIs, and Mojang back then was still an indie game development studio, with just a couple members and no massive corporation hanging above them. So Mojang didn't just know about the existence of Bukkit, they acknowledged the existence of Bukkit and even met up with the Bukkit team on multiple occasions. Somewhere in January of 2011, for example, when Mojang met up with the Bukkit team to discuss licensing issues. But Bukkit was way more involved with Mojang than you might think. For example, during Minecon of 2011, which is the predecessor of Minecraft Live, Bukkit actually had their own Q&A session there because they were invited by Mojang. And I think it is important to know by now that Mojang was really impressed with the work that Bukkit put out. They thought it was incredible what the Bukkit software could do. But then it happened. In February of 2012, it was announced that the Bukkit team had joined Mojang with the goal of further developing the Minecraft server software and for the Bukkit team to help Mojang out creating an official Minecraft modding API. Now, what is an official modding API anyway? Well, an official modding API is nothing more than a modding API made by the developers of the game. Paper and Forge and Fabric, those are all unofficial modding APIs. They are made by the community. But there are a lot of games out there that have official tools made by the developer to create mods for their games. A few examples are Age of Empires 2, multiple COD games, Half-Life and Halo, famously Portal 2, and Sid Meier's Civilization 4, 5, and 6. And that is just to name a few. All of these games have official modding APIs. And turns out they also all have a pretty active modding community. So getting one officially from Mojang, that would have completely changed up the Minecraft modding community landscape forever. We don't know if it would have been good or bad, but Minecraft modding nowadays would have been very different if an official modding API by Mojang for Minecraft would have ever seen the light of day. Now, I just mentioned that Bukkit joined Mojang, but they didn't really join Mojang. They were bought by Mojang. Mojang acquired the Bukkit project from Curse. And you might be like, who's Curse? Well, you know who Curse is. The owners of CurseForge. Now, just to be clear, the company Curse is no longer around. It was bought in 2016 by none other than Twitch Interactive. Now, in 2018, a part of the assets were sold to Fandom, who you might recognize from their wiki pages. And the other part, including the CurseForge website that we still use to this day, was in 2020 bought from Twitch by Overwolf, who, like you can see when you scroll down on the page, still owns CurseForge to this day. But yeah, the Bukkit project was a part of the Curse company when it was still around, and Mojang bought it from Curse for an undisclosed amount. To this day, we still don't know how much Mojang spent to buy the Bukkit project, because both Mojang and ex-employees from Curse or Bukkit don't want to say anything about it. But one thing we do know, as part of the deal of acquiring Bukkit from Curse, Mojang would also hire the 4 Bukkit developers onto their own team. And these developers are pretty well known. So I think most of you know what happens when in Minecraft you name a sheep yep underscore. It will turn into a rainbow sheep. Now, why is that? Well, the rainbow part, I don't know, but Yep is of course one of Minecraft's main developers. He's the one who pretty much made the game together with Notch. But there is another one of these Easter eggs. When in game you name any mob Dinnerbone, it will turn upside down. Just like that. So, who is Dinnerbone? Well, Dinnerbone is one of the creators of Bukkit. And he was, together with Evil Seth and 2 others, hired by Mojang as part of that Bukkit acquisition. And they kept working on the Bukkit project alongside Mojang. But not just that, Mojang also hired them to help them make an official modding API. But that never ended up happening. A few years passed, and in August 2014, Evil Seth made a public announcement. I found this page through the Wayback Machine, and it's not really nice to read, because this is where Evil Seth announced the discontinuation of the Bukkit project. And he blamed the poor support from Mojang, who owned the Bukkit project, and also the enforcement of the Minecraft EULA. In other words, even though Mojang owned Bukkit, the EULA was still a problem for them, which is kind of confusing. But just after that announcement by Evil Seth was made, and the reason the entire page is crossed out is because shortly after, a Mojang employee spoke up and said, "Hey Evil Seth, you are not even allowed to discontinue this project. You don't own it anymore." sure? We do. We own Bukkit. And Jens, aka the head of Mojang, still to this day, confirmed this. Warren over at Bukkit seems to have forgotten that the project was bought by Mojang over 2 years ago and isn't his to discontinue. Yep also joked about the whole inquiry by saying, "This is not a joke, we dug up the receipt to be sure." Meaning the receipt about them buying Bukkit. One Bukkit, 50,000 euros tax not included. And a bit after, Dinnerbone, who now worked at Mojang and is the one who started the whole Bukkit project, made a tweet saying, "To make this clear, Mojang owns Bukkit. I'm personally going to update Bukkit to 1.8 myself. Bukkit is not and will not be the official API." That made that clear right away. Bukkit was not gonna be the official modding API of Minecraft. This is also kind of where this whole story ends. Because after Seth announcing that Bukkit would be discontinued, Mojang calling him back and saying, "Hey, we own the project, you can't discontinue it," and Yep and Dinnerbone confirming that yes, Bukkit is indeed from Mojang, everything kinda died down. As of September 2014, all of the Bukkit download pages are no longer available, because they were all taken down because of a DMCA claim by one of the former Bukkit team members. So somebody who worked there before filed a DMCA claim and got all the pages taken down. Pretty much the last thing we ever heard about the Bukkit project and the official Minecraft modding API was, "We took ownership of the Bukkit, GitHub and project. We will see what happens from here." Absolutely nothing, because by that time Bukkit had mostly been replaced by its successor Spigot MC, which was an actual up-to-date fork of Bukkit and also backwards compatible with all of the Bukkit plugins. In other words, Spigot did what Mojang couldn't. Or couldn't? Maybe they just didn't want it. And this is where I'm actually gonna start theorizing. Until this point, everything I've told you can be backed up with a ton of evidence. And there's information about all of this that can be found easily online. But you know what I found interesting? All of these tweets made by Dinnerbone and Jep and other Mojang employees were made in August of 2014. All of the Bukkit download pages and everything related to it were taken down in September of 2014. Do you know what happened in November of 2014? That is right. Minecraft and Mojang Studios were bought by Microsoft corporations. In other words, all of a sudden, Microsoft took over this steering wheel. And of course, for Microsoft to buy a game like Minecraft for a couple $billion, they must have had a plan what they wanted to do with the game. And I think an official modding API, or any modding API for that matter, was not in Microsoft's plan. And this is not just something that I was thinking. The entire Minecraft modding community was fearing to be shut down after Microsoft acquired Mojang. Microsoft in fact didn't. They did not announce any changes to Mojang's policies, and modding was unaffected. The EOLA stayed what it was. Of course, it has been tweaked over the years, but it's pretty much still the same. But what I do personally think is that these plans to create an official modding API were put to an hold by Microsoft, because Microsoft had different plans with the game. And only about 2.5 years after Microsoft acquired Mojang, the Minecraft Marketplace was announced. A place where players will be able to sell user-created content. First, specializing in things like adventure maps, skins, and texture packs, but we all know that nowadays you can just buy full-fledged add-ons on there, which is kind of an equivalent to a mod. Now, of course, that is a theory by me. And the acquisition of Mojang by Microsoft was announced in November of 2014. But of course, conversation must have been going for a lot longer than that, which is also why I think Seth made that announcement. He didn't feel like Mojang was really supporting the Bukkit project, because they most likely were not. If they were already having conversations with Microsoft, and Microsoft told them their plans with the game, which most likely included the Minecraft Marketplace, that must have stopped any plans to ever make an official Minecraft modding API. Instead, they wanted to get players onto their own brand new marketplace, so the players could buy content over there, Microsoft could earn from the microtransactions, and mod developers would have an actual legit way of earning from mods. Because, like I talked about in the previous video, the selling of Minecraft mods is not allowed. And that is essentially where the story ends. Since Microsoft took over Mojang, they have only on a few rare occasions even acknowledged the existence of the modding community. Before Microsoft's time, Mojang had a lot of connections with the modding community, and they even bought the Bukkit project and aimed to release an official Minecraft modding API made by the Mojang team. And I think after the acquisition, this whole project was just dropped. it has never been officially discontinued. They never made a statement about it. They never said it was not gonna happen anymore, at least as far as I know and could find. But as of making this video, it has been over 10 years. So I think it is safe to say we're not gonna get it anymore. It would have been interesting though, an official API made by Mojang to mod the game. Would that have been better than what we currently have? Or maybe it would be the opposite, and it would be way more limiting than what we have today. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments of this video. And that is gonna be it for today. Do make sure to subscribe to my channel, join my Discord. Thank you so much, channel members. And then I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, see you later, bye bye.